most shocking thing you discovered on this journey?
Probably, the main thing was the effect on my moods. That really took me by surprise, how much it affected my concentration, my ability just to be present. We know now there's a term called reactive hypoglycemia that affects half the population. And when you have a big hit of sugar, you release this hormone called insulin, and it clears out the sugar from your bloodstream very quickly. And when it does that, because it happens so fast, the brain kind of releases these chemicals that can make you feel anxious and nervous and jittery, even irritable, in some studies that have been done on kids and soft drink. So I certainly experienced that. And also the other big surprise was that I didn't change my calorie count. So we've got this very held belief that all calories are equal, but it's just not true. And more science is starting to back this up. And there was a study done at Stanford recently on 174 countries, and they found that the 150 calories of sugar into the diet increased the chance of type 2 diabetes by 700%. Wow. So all the symptoms I gained in the film, all the weight, all the fatty liver disease, all happened by eating the same amount of calories as I had before I did the experiment. And before I did the experiment, I was having no sugar. I had a lot of healthy fats like nuts and avocados, very little refined carbohydrates like white breads and sugars, and lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. And those calories behave very differently in my body to when I started eating the processed foods. So I think that's something that people really take away from the film, because a lot of people are out there, have been counting their calories, they're not losing weight, they're still getting metabolic symptoms and getting sick on the inside. We've got to understand that sugar behaves very differently. And the sooner we can understand that properly, then we can start getting people healthier much quicker.
Now tell me about reversing this sugar addiction that you must have acquired over these 60 days. How hard was it for you to stop eating all of that sugar and come back to eating those healthy whole foods?
Well, I guess I had a huge advantage because I'd done it before. I'd kind of lived for 2 or 3 years with very little sugar in my diet. So I kind of knew what I was going back to. And I just, because I am sensitive to it, I am a much better person when I'm eating real foods and not eating the sugar. I feel calmer and more stable through the day. My skin looked better. People always commented on how healthy my eyes looked, or I lost a lot of weight. So I guess for me it was very easy. I wanted to get back to that person because I was completely exhausted and tired, and I just felt grumpy and run down from having so much of that bad food and the sugar that I was kind of looking forward. Whereas a lot of people don't have that reference point. Most people have had sugar every day of their lives since they were children, given how pervasive it is in the food supply. So they really don't have a benchmark or a reference to what it might be like. And it kind of sounds like a bit of a weirdo if you think, oh, I'm going to lower my sugar and feel different. But as I'm finding on the Facebook page, I mean, we're having thousands of people that are lowering their sugar and they're just going, oh my God, I can't believe how different I feel, or my kids' behaviour's changing, or I just feel healthier throughout the day. So look, it can be tricky. Everyone's different. For me, it probably took about 5 or 6 days. And I had a couple of days where it was a bit uncomfortable, and you realise that sugar is a very strong substance because it does give you headaches and it can make you feel a bit flat and run down. But once you push through that, again, you start noticing the difference, and you kind of don't really want to go back. And that's what people are finding. They don't miss the sugar once they've kind of stepped away from it. And look, and we're not telling people that everyone has to cut it out entirely. Like I said, the World Health Organization says 6 teaspoons a day. Now, given we're having about 30 to 40, if we could get down to 6, then we're obviously going to see some drastic changes to the community. And that's really all we're trying to encourage people to do. Just aim for that number of 6.
Damon, that sugar movie comes out at the end of July in South Africa. What is the one thing you hope that your audience takes away from this movie?
Well, I hope the one thing is that people take their kids. We've had such great success in Australia now. We've just become the highest Australian documentary of all time in Australia. People are very, very receptive to the message. They're bringing their children along. It's a lot of fun. There's Hugh Jackman's in it and Stephen Fry's in it. There's 300 animations in it. There's lots of rock and roll music. It's designed to be a fun night out. There's no fear in it. It's really to empower people to go home and start making some healthier choices and understand what they're putting in their bodies and what they're putting in the bodies of their kids. So it's not to be feared. It's not a scary film. It's a really enjoyable and uplifting event.